Those were the good old days, though.
Yeah, well, I like the old days.
Good, yes.
Matter of fact, I kind of miss it a bit.
We had good times there.
Yeah, moderated for a long time. And
how many years, John?
59 years.
59 years.
That's a long time, isn't it?
And I remember when you were moderator at that building that we just talked about.
The community center? That's where they started. That's the first meeting I had was in there.
Yeah, that was our big...
They were there for a very long time.
Yeah. The only time I ever got up and made a speech about anything was when we were going to build a Silver Lake. Remember they were going to have a tri-town?
I can't remember whether you were for it or against it.
Oh, no, I was against it. I wanted
I know, but I think it's pretty good today, don't you?
I wanted us to have our own high school and not be with
Well,
Kingston.
now we have got our own high
and
school.
now, see?
That's what I wanted too.
Yeah.
We like it what we got.
We like what we got.
That's
but
right.
we could have had it then, see?
Yes, that's true. It was a long struggle getting it through.
It was,
a long struggle. I was their moderator when they voted to establish the regional school in the first place.
I had the walking club.
Yeah, I know.
Down here.
He made some old gentleman walk his head off. His probably killed him walking.
He was my, he was
you
my...
remember him? He was a nice gentleman.
Yeah, he's gone now.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, Gus.
He went with you many days, I know, because I walk up and down.
He was Old Faithful. I told him, I said, that you are the club now.
Yeah, yeah. I was interested in town government. I still am, but I've had my turn, and I liked it. Being involved in town business is involved, and it takes time whether you think so and whether they think so or not. But I started. I was interested, and I ran for moderator way back. That was 1950. Can you remember that far back?
Yes, I can.
Ran for the moderator. I was only 21 at the time.
Gee.
But they didn't like the other candidate, you see. And one way to get elected, now, I wouldn't tell everybody this, Louise, but should you want to run for something, it's more important who the other guy is. If they don't like the opposing person, you've got a better chance of getting elected. And the opposing person wasn't very popular. He was terrible. And I can say it now because he died 50 years ago.
Oh, well.
And, but he was arrogant.
Yeah.
And he displayed, like bossing people around. And they don't like that. You see what I mean?
You've got to have the right
qualities. You've got to be a little bit courteous to people,
Yes.
and you can still get the job done without being hurt by and making them feel insulted or so on. So it's a question of, that's what they call it, moderate. You should be a little moderate and not pick one side or the other. It's important to give everybody a chance, no matter whether you like them or think they're wonderful or not. They have a right to do that. And I tried to do that for a lot of years. I might have made a flubbed up one time or two, but it wasn't willful, you know what I mean? Things sometimes just come out. You know how that is? I can't help but laugh. This one wasn't funny, but I can't forget it. We had a couple of things. One woman come in and she had trouble with the snow, you see.
Sure.
And we plow snow, and they do a pretty good job. Not typical of this winter, but this was a winter with a lot of snow. And the plow people were a little bit annoyed with her because she was forever calling. Now, it's not the town's business to plow people out.
No.
But an elderly person, a certain person, they would do it. And she called so damn many times. They got sick of it. So they took all the snow and plowed it right up the front door. Not driveway, nothing. Right up to the door. And but she was kind of, but you could see where she'd be a little upset.
Yeah,
but she was on them constantly. So instead of plowing with them, they did things like that. And then there's, I don't know, a lot of things happened. But you forget them because they're so important at the time. Yeah. But you get away from the time and people say, well, I don't know. But they
have to forget the next thing,
and they do, yeah. I kind of miss the early years. There was different, more participation and so forth.
Well,
I think
it was more, I was gonna say learning, but the town was younger then.
That's
and
right.
there were more things to keep your mind active with. Organizations were just starting.
Well, they were, but also people were clearly in the beginning, as this is typical of this town, Pembroke, but other towns the same way. They were, as you said, they're more involved. They had more interest in the town. Now, we used to start the town meetings in March, and the winter was a dull, dry time, and it was fun to get out, and people would have their things to say, and they'd say things whether they would like to or not.
Yeah.
Tommy Redding and all those people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he dragged his woodchuck, not a woodchuck, a beaver into the town, and oh God, he's hard to control. But they were more active into it. We got way more people, but the apathy has become very apparent. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And we was more interested. So I liked it from the beginning. I always liked it, but I felt...
I don't feel they're as thinking of Pembroke as much as, well, what am I going to get out of
Well,
it?
that is a true statement.
Yeah.
They've got this is the way that's right, absolutely right. People are interested in special interests.
Right.
And they come for special interests, not so much for the whole interest of the town.
Yes.
And they go down, they want to get their thing, and if they get... Now, this isn't fault in a way. People come to get what they need. Maybe they want their road improved, or town water, or 100 different things. But they were more willing to be tolerant of other people.
That's right, and you got to think of the whole,
That's
not
right.
just these individual people.
Well, no,
they're going to benefit, yes.
Yeah,
but is the town really going to benefit by whatever project?
By and large, people were pretty good, but they all had their issues, you see.
Oh.
We got so excited and so steamed up about issues that were coming. But other years there may not be anything, you know? I think the town is managed pretty well as you look around, and their government is sound here. You know, I mean, financially we're not, I understand from the paper that we're going to get a small surplus this year. We've never had a surplus as long as I was there, and I can recall it anyway.
Remember when Rockland Trust was playing with the idea of moving across the street?
Yes.
And that whole area was for sale, and
I do remember that, but I remember quite clearly when that building where they're in now, the location, would be a better way to put it, they wanted to come there, and they had their design for a building, but they were going to take down the old house, which has been there for years and years, way before my time out there. And
that's years.
Kenneth, it is indeed. Kenneth Henrich's died too. He had the store, you know that, didn't you? You know, we had Henrich's store was the center of Pembroke, and I knew Ken. I worked for him, as a matter of fact. But anyway, the Rockland Trust wanted to build there, but they were going to take down the building that was there, and the town pressed them. Preservation Committee, I think Libby Walsh is on it. Historical, that's it. And they agreed to do it, and they've designed it the way it is. It works very good.
It's beautiful.
They like it, and the people, it looks the same as it did.
It's in keeping with the town.
So that's one of the things that they've done well, instead of, because they had to do that, but they were willing to do it, and it probably cost them more than just a straight loan, but it's worked out well.
Do you remember the old house, Mrs. Erickson's house?
Of course I do.
That lived,
Sold
that was
too.
right, did you? Right where the mobile station was. Remember? And they moved that house way down.
Yeah, well that wasn't, they moved it down here on Oldham Street. Is that what you're talking about? The one that was moved from the center? Is that what you...
All the way down, that's why they call it Erickson Street, right down.
That's right. But Erickson, it was Erickson Lane, that's right. And they moved it, they moved the Cape. And put it down there, and it's now at the corner of Erickson Lane and Center Street. Well, the school building is still there, it's the community center.
It's a
that's the
gym
community,
now, yeah.
and they get use out of that, and
Yeah.
there's, they
And they
rent
had
it out.
plays
Yeah.
out in the,
But the thing is to keep the area as it largely was, to preserve what Pembroke looked like. The Preservation Committee, the Historical Committee, I think Libby Bates is chairman of it, it made a particular effort to preserve the center. And that where there may be changes, they cannot be made without approval of that group.
keeping the old, the town hall, I love the way they've kept that.
Well, they have.
Remember they
that was burnt down,
refurbished?
and it was burnt, and then they rebuilt it, and it looks
and
the
they
same.
kept, yes, the pillars, and it looks
Yeah,
so
well,
nice.
yes, it is. And I was sat right in this room when it was
When
burning.
that
It didn't
fire
know.
was-
I
oh,
couldn't believe it. It
God.
was engulfed with flames.
I know.
But it's been in that location. Most always been. That's not the only location the town hall was, but in all my career and somewhat before, it's been there, and it looks now
looks
as
nice,
it did then.
yes.
But there is an interest with the committee and the others to maintain the look of the town.
And
So it'll always that won't change, and I don't see the center changing.
One thing I was going to ask you, did Libby Bates help get that Quaker building all
Yes.
restored?
Yes,
She's
oh,
done
yes.
a lot for the
She
town.
absolutely, and credit to her, she simply achieved that.
Right.
Got the building.
I thought so,
and got it,
yes.
and had it moved there, and then raised money to have it improved in the sense that maintained.
You know, John, it's been wonderful hashing over all these old memories and.
Well, it is nice, and I liked working with you when you did the work for the cable company.
I tried
Yeah,
hard,
you did good, yeah.
Yeah.
That worked pretty well,
It
too.
did.
Well, anyway, it has been nice.
It has
nice
been
just to come in
nice.
and just sit down.
Yeah.
And I do care about the town all
I
these
know
years.
you do.
And I was here before almost. I think I'm the oldest person. Not the oldest person. I'm up there, but.
But I'm older than you.
Yeah, well, we're close.
We
Well,
are.
somebody's got to get old, you
Yeah.
know. We got to be a big. But
Oh,
everything's
so what's
here. All the
old?
young people. Anyway, we're still here, Louise. You know who was here? I used to like Helen Machant. Do you remember?
Yeah. Oh yes, of
She
course.
was very-
Edna Rand, all the old
Edna
ones.
Rand, I liked her.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I finally got in it. So I like the town. We're fortunate to be here, and we're lucky to have a
And the
community that they've kept it nicely.
But it's nice to keep some of the old.
Well, of course it is. Well, they've tried to do it.
When
And
you
they-
go around that bend and you see that high school there,
Yeah.
it
Well,
makes me
yes, it
feel
does.
good.
You remember.
Yes.
But we've preserved a lot of it, and I
Yeah.
suppose we'd have to give the committee that did that, of which Libby Bates happens to be one. In all fairness to her, she's
did.
somewhat of
She
a
did.
aggressive person.
Yes.
And if she makes up her mind to do it,
Tenacious.
tenacious. That's a good
That's
word. Where'd
the
you get
word.
that word? She comes.
It came to
She
my
doesn't.
mind.
It's got out of mind. I think that's a fair thing to say.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anyway,
but
it's kind of.
we need.
Well,
her.
they do things. You gotta have somebody doing something.
We
you know?
do, and she's a doer.
It's been wonderful being part of Pembroke. My life's been here from the time I was at high school, and I've seen so many things happen, good, not all good, but most of them good. I've grown up in the community. I liked it when I came, and I still love it today. And I don't plan, God willing, to go anyplace else. I like it here in Pembroke. I just as soon stay right here in the center of town where I can look out the window and see what's going on. So it's been a pleasure, and I hope those that watch this get some pleasure out of it also.
Yeah. so glad to see you, dear. It's been a long time.
Well, it's good to be here.
Yeah, we just finished a little encounter with John Walsh, and I see you brought some things with you, and it's going to be nice talking with you.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. And what have you got here?
Well, I brought a little bit of background information about not only this building, but its predecessors, to give the folks at home a little bit of the background history of education in Pembroke, particularly the high school. And it's interesting to note that the town first started talking about having a high school as early as 1855. Prior to that, students of high school age would have been tuitioned out to surrounding communities to attend high school. In 1882, the town appropriated $300 for a high school. And the school committee reported that we believe that a high school is useful and would become so as time wears on. But the burden of taxation is heavy. Boy, have I heard that before. And the existence of a high school, fellow citizens, is a problem for you to solve. Well, some things never change, do they? Then in 1893, the town had established its own high school. In 1906, through the generosity of a gentleman by the name of George Hatch, there was a two-story building, which is right next door here, identified as the Hatch Building, which served as the first permanent high school. That was built in 1907. And that served as the high school up until 1934, when this building was built. Not this portion of the building, but the main portion of the building was built in 1934. And it was basically due to overcrowding at the school next door. But what was so advanced about this building is that it had an auditorium built in, which served not only as a gymnasium, but as a lunchroom. And if you can remember the town meetings we used to have down there, it does have a stage, and but it did have a gymnasium with the basketball hoops, and of course they could convert it with tables and chairs to a lunchroom.
Excuse me a minute. We just had a little interview with Mr. John Walsh, and he became our moderator for
59 years. Yeah. I always love to tease John and tell him that he was elected moderator the year I was born.
Oh.
So, and he always used to kind of, you don't have to say that. But no, John's a great guy, and he did a great job as moderator for decades.
Yes, he did.
And
he knew everyone in the town by name.
He sure did.
Yep.
He sure did. So, and I believe he graduated from this building as Pembroke High School.
Yes.
Before 1955, Pembroke decided to join the Silver Lake region, and the high school students from Pembroke went down to Kingston to attend high school, so this building was converted to the Center Elementary School. Growing town needs space. And it served as the Center Elementary School until 1981, in which it was closed. And when they had built the new elementary schools, North Pembroke, I think was built in the late the 70s.
Gurney School.
The Hobbamock School, the Bryanville School. So they moved the elementary students that were in this building to the newer, more modern elementary schools throughout town. In 1981, this building was converted to the Pembroke Community Center, and it provided multiple, and still does, provide multiple town services, including recreation, childcare, the cable access TV studio, bingo, absolutely. They high priority in town is bingo.
Well, it serves that purpose, keeps a lot of people happy. Saturday night, bingo night.
especially
and
when they
like
win.
it.
And I mentioned a few just briefly, but was handed a list here of actually the list of all of the organizations in town that do use it, and it's really pretty
Amazing,
impressive.
isn't it?
There are so many uses of this building, and it would be I'd be hard pressed to think where they would go if there wasn't some kind of a facility available for them.
Now, what did you say in 1981? It just was used for various things, not a school anymore.
No,
So now
in 1981, the Center Elementary School moved out of this facility. The school children went to the 3 other elementary schools in town, and this building was converted to uses for the community, hence the name, the Community Center. And as you know from the list that we discussed just a minute ago, there are all kinds of uses, recreation, cable. We see that youth baseball, softball, hockey use this building in one way or another. Commission on Disability, the food bank is here. That's one very important.
That's a big item.
Yeah, it's a big item.
Yes.
So there are many uses of the building. So I guess that would lead us to the continued use of this building and its importance. In 2003, the Board of Selectmen appointed a community center task force to look into the future use of this building. And we started, a group of us were appointed, and the first thing we did was take a tour of the building. And these pictures were taken at that time. And as everybody knows, the use of this building, the condition of the building, has been discussed for years and years and years. If you decide, okay, we're going to repair and refurbish this building, or we're going to change the use, or what are we going to do with it, you have to take into consideration the tenants, the people who are using the building. One of the nice parts I remember is we went over to Cohasset, I believe, to their new well, it's not a new library. It's a building that's almost identical to the original building here. It must have been built by the same builder architect, but it's same vintage, same architecture, many of the same elements of the building, and they spent money, converted it, restored it, and it is spectacular. It's an absolutely beautiful building. So in 2006, we came out, the committee concluded its work, the architectural firm that was hired to do the needs assessment came out with a report, which is here, and it was presented to the town fathers at the time, and that's where it stayed. This was a cooperative effort of a lot of people. One of the things that I share with people when I talk about the community center, and what I mean, even if you take the recommendations in this of what it would cost just to kind of button and tighten it up, are about a third of what it would cost to knock the building down, and after which you would have nothing to show for it.
That's right.
And talk about cradle to grave services, from the youngest citizen in town to the oldest citizen in town, have a facility which they can use and share. There's room for the field to remain. And if anybody had bothered to read this report, all of that was spelled out there. The other thing is it's in a historic district. The topic has been the community center building. We presented the report to the selectmen, and that's where it ended. In 1998, there was a structural analysis done on this building, very extensive one. Certainly took more than a couple of hours walking through. And in 2006, a professional architectural firm did the same thing. They updated it, they took the 98 report and they revisited the infrastructure, things like the heating and the electrical, all of those things have to be updated. But in terms of the building itself, the basic bottom line of both those reports was that this building is basically sound. And yes, it can be repaired. It's basically up to the people of Pembroke. What do they want?
But if they don't know about it, how can they vote?
Good point.
Yes.
It really is a focal point
It's a
in
wonderful one.
Yeah.
We've had bands come over here. You walk through town and you hear music and you say, gee, where's the music coming from?
Oh, we
you
built
walk
the band.
down here
Yeah.
and it's wonderful.
Well, in 1987, during the 275th anniversary, we built the bandstand.
And you've never been sorry?
No.
Look at how
no.
people, yes.
I remember one member of the planning board said he thought it looked like a bus station in Wellesley, but
There you go.
but I think everybody's been pleased with it, and it's gotten a lot of use over the years. And now the 300th anniversary is proposing to dress it up with a brick walk that people can buy
Now,
memorial
what would we
bricks.
do without this beautiful building to present these nice affairs with? Huh? And truthfully, it's got a decision should be made relatively soon because
They've been
this,
saying that for years.
I know it, because it's not getting any younger, you know. This,
Like us, huh?
well, I think so.